Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening session of our program. As we still are waiting some people, so I think we'll give them a few minutes to join, and then we will kick off. My name is Bright Waro, and my co-convener Eman Sob is here. Eman, if you can say some words of welcome.
Welcome everyone. We are in the last session of the first half year of Frontiers Seminar Series. We hope you will enjoy. I am Iman Sob, Associate Professor of Chest Diseases at Al-Azhar University, Cairo, Egypt. We are all here Africans, and we hope this will be an opportunity for collaboration and communication. We hope to advance science and research in Africa, and also career development through my story session, which occurs in the quarter. We hope to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eman. So let's give them 7 minutes. So we'll start 10 minutes past. We'll try not to stretch this, but many people, as they say, African time, continuously hold up to the African time. We hope that through our programs, we're able to change that around so that we use our time appropriately. So let's give them 10 minutes so that we don't leave anybody behind while we start our program. Okay. So please use the chat box to introduce yourself, say some words about yourself. As you know, we usually evaluate each session of the program. So as the program goes on, we'll be sending the evaluation forms so that you can complete it perhaps before the session closes for the day or just immediately after the session closes. These evaluations are quite important for us to improve future programs. Okay. So welcome again, everyone. I think the 10 minutes we gave is up. So we are going to kickstart this evening session. Let me just share my screen to. Yeah, as I mentioned, this is what we have today. We are going to have an open discussion, and this is quite a special edition because up to now we usually invite speakers to present on specified topics, but this will be an open discussion which you are all invited to contribute. And the key question we are trying to answer here is, as scientists in our dear continent, are we doing our best in contributing to the development of our continent? What are the challenges we are having? What are the opportunities that we have? How can we change the current narrative we find ourselves? So it's an open discussion, and let's see what we can come up with. What ideas, what initiations or initiatives, what are the challenges we are facing across the continent that we think we have opportunity to improve and to change what is happening with regards to development and our scientific careers. So feel free And after that, we'll have the My Career, My Story session. As I announced in the chat box, we have invited 3 distinguished African sons and daughters to tell us the story of their career successes, share with us ideas of how they have gone through and reached where they are today. And as you know, we do this My Career, My Story every last session of the quarter. So the first one we had was at the end of March. Somebody has an ink. Felix Emeka, you have your mouse is drawing something on the slide. Please see if you can correct that. So we had one in the end of March, and then the second one is now the end of June. The other one will be end of September, and the last one will be end of December. So relax. This evening is 3 hours, and hope that at the end you find this session useful. So I want to hand over to my colleague Eman to tell us what she's got for us this evening. Then I will come back.
Hello.
Hello, Eman. We hear you.
Can I share screen, right?
Yes, please go ahead.
Here.
We can see you. We can see your slides.
This is a report and review of what we have done since January 2021 till June 2021. As we know, our continent lags behind most, if not all, indicators of modern societal development. And the most important one is the science and technology indicator, which needs further improvement. So our vision is to raise the next generation of African scientists with the right competences to drive Africa's development and the transformational agenda through innovative scientific research. That's the most important point to improve the scientific and the research agenda of Africa. Our mission is to instill excellence in Africa's science through competence acquisition, capacity building, and career development, through which African scientists can play a more active role in the continent's development. What we do in African Science Frontiers Initiative is science seminar series, courses and workshops, mentoring program, and research projects. That's what we started with Frontiers Science Seminar Series. The most important point is disrupting stagnation and empowering Africa's future. In the first quarter, we have 4 sessions. The first one is Who's an African Scientist? The second one is African Science in Global Context, Current and Future Perspectives, Sustainability in Scientific Research in Africa, and the last one is the role of private sector in scientific research promotion in Africa. The main theme is on being a real African scientist. The first one was, our speaker was Dr. Bright Nawaru. The second session in African Science in Global Context, Current and Future Perspectives, Professor Charles A. The third one, sustainability in scientific research in Africa, Professor Kenneth Amishi and Professor Frederick Arma. The fourth one, role of private sector in scientific research in Africa. We have distinguished speaker also with Professor Olo Akanu. And at the end of this quarter, we have seminar extra, My Career, My Story series. We have two distinguished African women. They tell their story in science and research. Professor Dr. Mariamwiti Durathan from Ethiopia and Dr. Dorcas Obiri Yiboa from Ghana. The second quarter, the theme was strategies for a successful career in science. The first one, carving fruitful research collaboration with Professor Samia Nasr. Mentoring in science and research, Mr. Daniel Kamanga. The third one, mental health and the scientist with Indigo Triplet. And this one is open discussion. My career, my story in the second quarter, Dr. Goma Sanat, we will meet him today. Noel Jobel from Cameroon and Mai Tobal also from Egypt as Dr. Goma. We have also two courses this year, reproducibility in scientific research and research funding and grant writing. And also we have one course in previous year regarding systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Audience for courses and for seminars from more than 30 countries. We targeted those from Africa, but also we have some audiences from outside Africa who wish to share our thoughts and to see what we are doing. Also, some of these audience are regular attendees. As you see here, you meet each other every seminar and every course. From variable fields, we have those from medical background and also from non-medical backgrounds, those from social sciences, from agriculture, from engineering, and also from private sector and business. From variable organizations, not only those from university and academic career, but also those from private sector and public. Most agree they will attend next event through evaluation. Most agree they will recommend activities to their colleagues. And you can watch the participants' experience of previous courses on African Science Frontiers Initiative YouTube channel. I will post the link in the chat. This is Frontiers Hub Course Research Capacity Building YouTube channel. You can find here previous courses starting from previous systematic review and meta-analysis course, grant writing and reproducibility in science courses, and also recordings of all previous seminar series. We have also a mentoring program. This mentoring program starts after each course. For systematic reviews and meta-analysis course, we have 10 scholars who still be mentored for systematic reviews and meta-analysis to have the skills and the tools. They submitted two papers, and there's two papers also in progress. We started also grant writing mentoring, 33 scholars. The aim is to improve their grant writing skills. They will be distributed into 5 groups. Each one have a mentor. We now have a website which is coming soon. We just start to finalize it. This is the contact for African Science Frontiers Initiative. This is the info email, and this is email for Dr. Bright and for me. These some fruitful photos of previous seminar attendees. from different countries, from different specialties. We hope you will enjoy future sessions, and you will be a regular attendee, and you will share your thoughts with us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Eman, for that introduction you have made to review what we have done so far since the beginning of the year. I believe that many of you who have followed our activities up to now can identify with some of those milestones. It has been half a year of very interesting conversations we have had. And from our own assessment internally, we also come to the conclusions that our objective for this part of the year has been met. Of course, there are many things we can improve, and that is why we solicit your input with the evaluations we send out at the at each session. So please help us to feed them in so that we can improve. The goal is that this conversation will continue to move on. Adding what we do here at the seminar series to what we do during our courses, we can already see that many people are identifying with our vision. Many people are identifying with our activities. Many people also having local adaptation to also motivate those in their localities on how we as scientists can contribute to changing the narrative we find ourselves as a continent. So this is what we have, and today, as I mentioned, we will be having this open discussion. So the plan is that I will send you to different breakout rooms in which you'll be given 30 good minutes to engage in very open conversation. I will come back to that, the agenda you will use in making your discussion, but I will make some introductory presentation to motivate what we are trying to achieve this evening. The goal is that at the end, we want to ensure that we have something we can take forward. As conveners, we will want items in which we can use to generate more conversation, which we can use to generate agenda for policy, agenda to motivate policymakers, agenda to motivate more national or continental agenda setting for science and development. So please be open to these conversations we'll be having. So our topic for today is African science and Africa's development. Where are we and what does the future hold? Where are we and what does the future hold? As you can see, the topic, it is not politics. It is what are you as a scientist? What am I as a scientist doing in my own corner in contributing to Africa's development? That is an important question I think we need to be asking ourselves. So after the presentation, we'll be having the Career My Story session, and I think it will be very interesting for you to stay to take part in this presentation that will be made by our brothers and our sisters. Okay, this is one thing we know, and that is that in most indicators of development, Africa lags behind in most of them, except one. But that one is a frightening one. And that is that we are increasing in population so much that it's difficult to curtail it. So in terms of hard development, we are lagging behind. But in terms of population, we are leading. And you know, if you have very rapid growth without the infrastructure, without the tools to take care of such rapid growth, it's frightening as we see. But beyond that, Africa lags behind in almost all indicators of development, which is a pathetic story, as I will show you. So what I'm presenting here, if you go to watch the first record, the first edition of this seminar series, what I'm presenting here, I'm recycling some of the things I presented there. And I do this intentionally because it is very easy for us to forget what was said yesterday. And we need to continue to learn from history, to bring back our conversations, to remind ourselves what we have been doing, what we are thinking, and how we can generate actions from those conversations. So this is Index of Human Development. Of course, this year is past, but what I want to show you here is that as far back as 1870, well, you may not believe this data. I may not believe this data, how they be able to generate this data. But if you believe that Africa has been there for generations than what we think to be young continent, you see that this is quite recent, really. But the point here is that the more yellowish the area is an indicator of the less development, less human development. And this was in 1870. In 2015, you can see the more darker is better human development. And continents that started with us, you can see how much they have moved. And you can see Africa has not tremendously moved away from where we were. Life expectancy in 2016 and projection for 2099. And why you see that Africa is not too different in the color compared to other nations. But as we move into 2099, you can see that Africa is actually doing worse than the nations that we may look like in 2016. Access to drinking water, as far back as 1990, you can see this is East Asia and Pacific. You can see how many people were lacking in access to drinking water at this time. Look at Africa. But as we move to 2015, look at the data we got. This has shrunk, meaning that there has been a tremendous improvement. But Africa, if you compare, you see that we're actually increasing in lack of access to drinking water for most of our population. Extreme poverty. Extreme poverty, this is a projection until 2030, starting from 1990. You can see many areas are shrinking. You can see this. This is going to shrink almost to a very, very unimportant number. But what is Africa's projection? That we're really in trouble if we continue the way we are today. Share of the population, for those who are into technology, share of population using the internet. In 2000, you can see how we look compared to other nations. In 2017, you can see how we look compared to other nations. It's obvious. It's quite obvious. Secure internet servers. In 2010, you can see how we look compared to other nations. In 2017, how we have looked compared to other nations is also obvious. But this is one thing I said, we may be doing better than others. And this is a projection of what the world may look like in 2100. And what is happening? You can see Africa, see where we are in 1950, see where Asia was. The projection is that Asia will reach their plateau around 2050, and they'll begin to go. But Africa will continue to increase. And beyond this, just beyond this, we are going to hit Asia. But the issue is that, as you have seen in the previous slides I've shown, Asia is doing actually better. They have risen to the occasion. They are providing the infrastructure needed, and they are pushing forward. And many nations we started with in Asia are really moving ahead. But what is our story? What is going to be our story? In 2100, not many of us here today will be there. But what is the agenda? What are we keeping for the generations that are coming, generations unborn? What are we doing? And that is the key thing. And that question this evening is a question that is to be asked to the scientists. What are we going to contribute to moving? Okay, so the question is, why do we need science? What is science all about? What is science to do with society? What is science to do with development? You know, UNESCO has put this is an articulation from the UNESCO that I actually love so much. And they started by saying that science is the greatest collective endeavor. And what it does is that it generates ideas, it generates knowledge, it generates tools, it generates the things we can use to ensure longer and healthier life, provides medicine, provides water, helps to grow our foods, provides energy, and so makes life fun. That is why we come into this world and use the things that have been created by God Himself to try to understand how can we utilize them, research them, and use them to improve our lives as people. These are very basic things. These are very basic things. And these are basic things that we in our continent need. These are basic things we are struggling with. And COVID-19 has shown us, thank God that really Africa has been less hit. In this part of the world, in the developed world, that we are really hardly hit. What if the situation was turned around and Africa was in the situation of what the West was? The story would have been terrible. In fact, the projection that were made at that time was that if this gets to Africa, it will be a sour story. So, but well, we are where we are today, still standing on our 2 feet. But will it also always be in that? Look at the world is rushing, developing vaccine, developing ideas. What is coming from Africa? What are we contributing to that? What is our narrative in that? So these are important questions that, as scientists, in reaching the goals of providing these basic needs, what are we doing in a sense? It says that science must respond to societal needs and global challenges. You see, but what do? We leave it to politicians, and we think we end up trying to produce evidence that will make us to get promotion or make us to get a name. But if what we do does not respond to what happens in our society as scientists, then we'll count ourselves as not doing enough. Science and technology and innovation must drive our pursuit of more equitable and sustainable development. That is it. There's no argument. Without that goal being reached, I think we are not doing well. And that is why in Frontiers initiatives, we are trying to awaken this perhaps forgotten assignment we have when we sign to be scientists. So science remains the bedrock for societal development. And it means that if we do not do evidence-based scientific, value-oriented scientific research, really, we will struggle to change the narrative of the numbers and statistics I have given to you with regards to poverty, population growth, technology in the previous slides. And so we have to take the bull by the horn. Scientific knowledge has thus become a decisive factor for economic growth. Hence, the socioeconomic development of regions or nation state depends increasingly on this resource. This is articulated since 1997, and it remains truth for generations to come. And here is another saying that research offers an opportunity for scientists of poorer nations to stand on their own feet. Research offers an opportunity for us to stand on our own feet without the need for international support to assess the scientific questions of their own nation and to contribute to the universal quest for knowledge. You see, if you want to contribute to knowledge, because it says that he who pays the piper determines the tune. And so once we continue to depend on ideas from outside, depend on their money, and then we just relax, we will not stand to set the agenda of what knowledge we generate, what knowledge we consume, what innovations we generate, what innovations we consume. This is quite important. Science is the key which unlocks for humankind the storehouses of nature. Okay, well, from all I have said, there is a great correlation between scientific outputs, what a nation produces in scientific quest, and development. There's a great correlation that there is a correlation between when you do good science, your society would automatically move in that direction of development. So our story is plot. You can see what we have here. This is showing the number of research and also the expenditure nations contribute to research expenditure. So here it says no African country spends up to 1% of its GDP on scientific research. Madagascar is 0.01%. South Africa is 0.82, which is the highest. No other nation. Not 1% of its GDP it spends in scientific research. And so, do we need any witch doctor or fortune teller to tell us where we should be? But if you look at the nations that contribute most, you see them? You see them? South Korea, Japan, United States, Germany, France, China. The more they contribute, you can see it is automatic. Development follow. Morocco is this shows also the number of researchers that are there per 1 million inhabitants. Morocco is the highest with little over 1,000 researchers per 1 million people. So if you count 1 million people, you have 1,000 of them as scientists or researchers. Nigeria, which they call the giant of Africa, has 38 researchers per 1 million people. South Africa has 432. Egypt has 675. We can't move in the right direction with these numbers. We can't. So 80% of global research spending is accounted by 10 countries. And these 10 countries are setting the pace for development. The point I'm making here is that we have a sorry story. And that is why it has gone to a shameful level whereby somebody, for instance, in my country, we order baby food from the US to feed the baby in Nigeria. That is where we are. That is where we are. And that is a sorry story. We should be speaking in this part, in this time of the world. So while we're here, we can give many excuses: external interference, internal complacency, corruption, bad government, no resource. But what about scientists? What about scientists? Yeah, science needs money, and as I've shown you the previous slide, it needs money to move in the right direction. Yeah, but if you watch the session, we talked about private sector and scientific research. The speaker coming from private sector says, I don't know what the scientists are doing, so I don't know what to fund for. So we may blame all this, we may blame money, but are we bringing the ideas? Are we bringing the ideas? Are you generating the ideas in your area of focus? Are you bringing an idea that will change the story of Africa, that will bring development in Africa, in your area? Are you doing enough? So that is the question. The blame we go round and round. This is one of the videos. I don't know if I will. Yeah, of course you can read this while you watch this. I think this is quite interesting. How people from outside, of course, he's memorizing what he has. I mean, he's bringing out what he has memorized as a part of competition for this program he's attending. But I think he's giving a glimpse of hope also to us as Africans. I hope you can hear that. Let's listen to him, see if we get motivation from that.
Right sound is not clear. No sound.
No sound? Oh, so let me just move on. But you can watch this. You can watch this in your convenience. The point he's trying to make here is that he's trying to bring a promise to Africa that in his lifetime, Africa will be a superpower. Africa will be a superpower. Well, whether we believe it or not, this is what you can see. This is what you can see. You can see that there are continents that will have what we have, and the world will be coming to them. Look. It says that the area of Africa is more than US, Europe, China combined. The area of Africa. Of course, if you see it drawn in the global map, you think that, oh, Africa is small. But really, this has been calculated. The area of Africa, US, Europe, China combined, Africa is more than that. Our population, 60% of it is under 25 years, meaning that we have power, we have strength, we have energy to produce. 10% of the world oil output, we own that. 90% of the world's platinum deposit, 90% of the world's cobalt supply, 50% of the world's gold supply, 60% of the world's magnets, 20% of the world's uranium, 75% of the world's columbite, wolframite, and tantalite. You can name all kinds of light there. Africa owns them. But where are we as scientists? What are we doing with all this? What is the problem? Okay, these are complex questions. We still go back to the issue of possibilities that may be there. But one thing I think is that we need radical scientific innovations. We need discovery science. We need continuous research. And without this, I think we keep struggling for a long time to come. So every societal development depends on science, because that there must be hard evidence of what works best, of what does not work. Today we have security challenges across different parts of Africa, How are we tackling this? What are the role of the scientists playing in this? And when I mean science here, if you go to the first edition, I define who is a scientist, because many times we get it wrong. But really, when I talk about science here, I'm talking about everyone who is in the continent of Africa, standing on his two legs, have eyes, have mouth, have ear. Every one of us, everyone is a scientist, because once you come into this world to discover this world, you are already having a scientific mind to contribute. So we need to find a way how we generate research that will change our narrative. So one thing here is that Africa has known many revolutions, independent revolutions, political revolutions, and social revolutions. Most recent one we talk about the Arab Spring, and then that has spread to different, all kinds of spring that are there, revolutions coming, changing the narrative, changing political narrative, changing social narrative. But there's one revolution that has not happened in Africa, and that is what I called scientific revolution. And that is a radical change of our current path. Every sector is important, but science remains the bedrock for tangible progress. We need to move from knowledge consumption to knowledge production or generation if we want to make any headway. We need to minimize this interventionist science we do. It is when something happens, then we find a way to deal with it. We need to move from that to innovation, discovery that actually prevent those things happening. We need to move to that direction to prevent. We need to predict. We need to use our God-given wisdom and power and knowledge to say, okay, we do things that will prevent those things coming. Such scientific revolution can be painful, but it is worth. All hands must be on deck for this to happen. We must look inward. Africa's development will rarely happen until Africans begin to lead the way. If we continue to wait for people to bring us peanut, import or export baby food, then we wait for a long time. Africans must build Africa from within Africa. It calls for patriotism, scientific patriotism to say. And we can't say, well, there's no example. There are examples there. Talk about Singapore, talk about India, talk about China, talk about South Korea. Those are examples that are there that Africa can look up to. So poverty is now optional. It's optional. It's not a generation course. It's optional. So stagnation and progress are also optional. So as an African scientist, what is your role in all this? That is the question we invited you this evening to discuss. What is your role? And I think this is time for self-criticism. African Science Frontiers Initiative we have started. Well, we are moving on. The train is moving. It has left the train station. And actually, I'm calling on all of you to join the train. We just finished a course on grant writing a few weeks ago. It was an amazing experience for those who attended. I have put the video. I put the video in our YouTube channel. Eman, if you can just help me push that to the chat box. Evaluation people have given People are echoing the same. This is the way to go. We need to move in that direction. We need to increase our capacity to do good science. And that is the gap we want to fill in here. Raise the conversation and to give people the capacity they need to do good research in solving Africa's problem. So I will send you to breakout session and I will give it 30 minutes. And these are some of the questions. And one of the questions I will be, I have a document I will put on the chat box soon. But in addition to what I have put there as a committee of scientists, are we doing right? What are we not doing right? Why are we not doing them right? What are our barriers to success? What are opportunities we can capitalize on? Can we change the narrative we have? When can that be? How long do we propose that can be from now on? So we need to ask the questions. And I think it is from asking the questions we begin to find the answers. So thank you for this session. And I think we will continue the discussion from the breakout sessions. I will just attach the file. So please take it from the chat box as I put it there, while I will now distribute you to the breakout rooms. So I'll automatically do that. So I have sent the file there on the chat box. Please take it now, because when you go to the breakout session, you wouldn't have access to them. And so what I want to do, I will distribute you to about five breakout rooms. When you get there, please make your introduction, select a coordinator of the group who will collect your information. In addition to the questions I have posed on the screen, I think I can still show it again so that you can be looking at that. In addition to this question, use the document I've put on the chat box, and please bring other ideas. They are not limited to this. So bring other ideas and collect all those. And at the end, when you come back, the coordinator of the group will present the ideas you have discussed in your group. And please put it down, because we want to get your document back. So write it down. After the presentation today, we'll contact the person who coordinated your group to get this information, so that we can take it forward. We can take it forward, really. Okay. I will send you now to the, let me organize the breakout session. Okay, I hope you are all ready now. I can open this, and so we'll be coming back. 30 minutes from now. I will give you a signal, and you 1 minute before the time, I'll give you a signal. Okay, welcome back everyone, and all the groups. I believe you have had a fruitful discussion. I guess that the time has not been very sufficient for you, and that is very well admitted, because if you look at the challenges we have as a continent, we continue to discuss it forever, but we have to call it off now, and then we'll discuss. So what happens is that everyone is muted, so you can't unmute yourself, but I will now give you the right to unmute yourself, but do so only when you want to speak. And that is why I asked the groups to nominate a coordinator who will speak on their behalf. But if you want to contribute to what your coordinator is saying, unmute yourself only when you want to speak. Don't unmute yourself when you're not speaking. Otherwise, we have background noise, and that will disrupt the recording we are making here. Okay, so let's start with group one. Please, you can unmute yourself, and whoever is there, you have 5 minutes to present your point, and then we can discuss on those points.
Okay.
Group one.
Yes. I guess I have to talk on behalf of the group one. Okay. The answer about the different question was quite diverse and fruitful. And most of, I will not speak specifically for each question, because we have tried to summarize all of them. I hope you will be able to find yourself in my talk. So for the first question, for example, some colleague was like, they was not aware about their responsibility as a key stakeholder when doing their research. They were just like trying to do their best in what they are doing. They were not caring about what is the output of what they are doing for the continent. And some of them testify that it's only when they try to attend into this seminar since a few months that they have noticed that they have someone to give back to the continent, so that they should not only focus on their research, they should also think about how their research can affect the continent and make it go forward. And some other were thinking that, okay, they are still at the early stage of their career, they are still finding their way on the research, so they are not considered themselves now as the stakeholder. But they were all we agree that the research that they are doing is research that matter for the continent. And they was also trying to say, okay, if they are scientists, they need to find a scientific solution to the problem that the continent is facing. And then we had some example of research activity performed by some of people in the group, like someone who talked about the mental health, because there was like, in the continent, people are not yet aware about the mental health. So they have tried the research to sensibilize the people about the mental health and give some advice on what to do when they face such kind of problem. We also talk about the different challenges and the solution that face the continent to make a good scientific output. And the main challenges that came out was always the financial funding. But other also comment about the mentoring as one of the main challenges that face African researchers, because those senior researchers, sometimes who already get some big experience in research, sometimes they do not have enough time to mentor and support the young researcher, whereas this does not require enough funding. It just requires your willingness and some of your time to mentor young researcher. in some research lab, in some group, people was like, okay, in their group is quite different because they are so fortunate to get senior who, when go abroad, help them with their research by yes, help them with their research and give them advice on how to go forward. Also trying to take their time to mentor them. I guess this is quite a good point because at least we can see that we just have to homogenize how the mentorship should work in the continent, because in some place it works pretty fine, and then in other place it doesn't work fine. I guess this briefly some of the answer that colleague and others gave about the different question. I guess it was exhaustive. If someone in the group has someone to add, you can just add it.
Thank you very much, Noel. This is a fantastic, really, discussion you have had, and I see that it was a fruitful one. I think we'll begin to think about who is a stakeholder, who is not a stakeholder. I think by definition, a stakeholder is said to be an organization, entity, or individual that can be affected or can affect that organization, isn't it? And if that is the case, scientists are always stakeholders, and it's not something you really identify in the process. It's something that you need to already begin to think, really. And that goes back to the key issue of education. What is our education about? What is the focus of our education? How do we raise the manpower to contribute to societal development? We teach kids from school. What is the idea being passed to them of what they are to the society? You become a carpenter, you become an engineer, you become a geographer, you become a social scientist. What are you doing that for? And so I think we require what I mentioned earlier, this revolution that is needed to begin to change our thought pattern, to know that without giving back to the setting, the context you are, then we have not really achieved our goal for being who we are. I don't know if there is any other point people want to raise from group one or from other groups, please, to this point they have made. If you want to speak, please just unmute yourself.
Hello, Dr. Pratt.
Yes, good evening, Mai Tobal. Please go ahead.
So our group also raised a lot of points regarding to how we can change the narrative.
So you're in group, what group are you?
I can't remember the number.
Okay, go ahead.
That's
go ahead.
group 4. It's group 4.
Okay, go ahead, okay. Mai. Go ahead with your contribution.
So we had inputs from Dr. Ronald and Dr. Bruscovia, Dr. Julia, and Dr. Epiphany. We agree with the previous group, and we also have additional points like the importance of having science policy interface and a sort of training for the scientists for science policy advice and how to communicate our the priorities for research to the policy leaders so that they can direct or they can help us with directing some funds from the government or governmental support for the scientists for research with high priority to our countries because as you know when you get funding from non-African resource, you can't guarantee that the funding, the priorities for the research is the same for the priorities, research priorities or health priorities in Africa. So this was a very important point that was raised in our group. and with focusing on building good infrastructure with research laboratories and this would help the future generations when they come and they find a good lab to work on and good infrastructure, so they will be able to continue on what the others started earlier.
Thank you very much, Maya. I think that is quite taken. Let's move on to group 2 and see if you have similar thoughts on that.
Thank you. My name is Josephine, and I'll be speaking on behalf of group. Thank you. And I think I'll go directly to the point. My group, one of the contributions that was mentioned was with respect to enhancing and utilizing products of managed crops such as cocoa, cashew, cola, and coffee. And this was by one researcher, Foluso, from Nigeria. And then they were mainly investigating the health, nutrition, and productivity of farmers. And I think this is an important aspect of agriculture that can be very useful to other countries as well. And we remember from the slide that we have a number of natural resources in Africa, and our ability to capitalize on it, knowing that we have such scientific research to back it, will be very useful for the African development. We identified some challenges, and most of them have been mentioned by Group 1 and Group 4. In addition to this, to highlight the issue. Hello. We would want to highlight the issue of data availability as part of lack of resources, and then our mindset with respect to research and many other things which are work related. We discussed a number of, we put forward to ourselves how we can help with the issue of collaboration and network. And one suggestion that came up was with respect to conducting workshops within our research field and in collaboration with other research faculties in our universities, in other universities across the continent. And I believe it will be very useful if we get to know each other. We also identify this platform to be very important in helping us achieve this aim. And personally, I am suggesting that if we are able to provide just a little detail of ourselves as participants, just 1 or 2 phrases, one or two word phrase of our research interest, and then circulate it amongst ourselves so that we know who is where and how, which area we can collaborate with each other. I think it will be a good starting point for us. So this is the little I would share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josephine. Thank you. I think your points are well noted. You mentioned the cocoa research, and I think it's important really to use an example to illustrate what resources Africa has. So please, if you're not speaking, mute yourself. Mute yourself if you're not speaking. Okay. So I think it's very important to mention some of those examples to really see what we are doing with regards to the natural resources we have and how we are locally, digging into understanding what they can contribute to development and the growth of the continent. And it was also good that you mentioned the Frontiers initiatives, and that is one of the things we want to achieve here. To understand that as I am from Nigeria, there should be a direct communication I can have and a collaboration with my brothers and sisters from Egypt or from Namibia or from Cape Verde or from South Africa, because that is what we need really to make things happen. And within the frontiers here. That is what we aim for. Our courses, the beautiful story Eman was telling, the first course we had was last year, July, and we announced the mentoring program in which 10 of those came into that platform. They still continued. They are working on papers. They are meeting together, and it's quite interesting to see how people are developing who have not met themselves once in their life, but through such a platform can establish a relationship, professional relationship that eventually is growing in a positive way for the sake of Africa and their scientific career. And we open such opportunities. If you go through the evaluation records of what we have done, the courses we have done, I think this is one aspect people really appreciate, that we can come from different countries, different disciplines, different contexts for one purpose. And we seeing it from the beginning that this is something that is impossible, but in the end, we come out with a product that we are all satisfied with. We need to do that for the sake of Africa, and we do our best to continue to promote such kind of networking within our platform. And we need more hands. If you have other opportunities, please, we are open to collaboration. We are open to things we can do to continue to push Africa more. Just to pause here to say that we have a course we announced about 2 days ago. The first course we ran on this platform, we're repeating it again next month. Systematic reviews and meta-analysis. I see a host of you have already applied, but if you have not, Eman has kindly put the link on the chat box. Please pick up the link there if you have not received email in our email list. So pick the link there and you can register. We'll come back to those who have registered later on to announce who is accepted. Okay, let's go to group 3.
Yeah, group 3. My name is Valerie. I'll be speaking on behalf of group 3. Yeah, most of the things we also found have been discussed by other group members, but can you hear me?
Very
Hello?
well, very well,
Okay,
very well.
Okay. Yeah, some of the issues we that came up were, we also talked about the problem of collaboration, and then we look at infrastructural issues, which we felt we were kind of under-furnished with the infrastructures. Then we also noticed that African researchers are not quite motivated. I mean, motivation from different aspects. And then policy makers, we noticed that at the helm of affairs in policy making, most politicians in Africa, some are not even literate enough. Some do not even actually go to school. So they don't really see any rationale for some of the researches that are being conducted. Then we also talked about issues relating to research biases, based on the fact that researchers try to conduct research in order to meet the need of the funders. Then African researchers were also over-depending on foreign support, probably due to issues related to funding as well. Then we also noticed that most of the researches we do are not actually targeted towards solving local issues. I mean, we conduct some research probably just based on the fact that the person doing the research is trying to either get a goal from it or to use it as a means of promotion in their different offices. Then researchers also, we talked about issues relating to insecurity. We looked at it from 2 aspects. Data insecurity, people feel insecure sharing their data. And then researchers, due to human insecurity as well, it's difficult for researchers to assess some areas in order to conduct research due to a lot of both political and religious insecurity. Then we also looked at the issue relating to skills. We we found out that a lot of African researchers don't actually have the skills to conduct research appropriately. Then one other new thing that also came up, which has not been discussed, was the fact that, for instance, in Europe, you could have free movement of researchers due to the benefit they gain from moving across the European countries due to free visa. But in Africa, probably one has to look for visa to move from one country to the other in order to conduct research. So it kind of limits the movement of researchers from one place to the other. I'm trying to look at basically new things that have not been talked about. And then I think that is basically what has not been discussed.
Thank you very much.
Said by others, yeah.
Thank you very much, Valerie.
Then one thing, prioritization of our researches was also an issue. We found out that a lot of our researches are not actually prioritized towards the immediate need of the people. So probably we do some researches that are not actually solving.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Valerie. I think the points your group have mentioned are quite apt, and these are big fundamental leadership politics oriented. Of course, science cannot go on its own. It requires support of the society from all stakeholders. But some of the things you have mentioned, infrastructure, the policies, migration policies that are required, are very important. And so for you, group 1, 2, 3, please, your group coordinators, please put your points together and then send them to me in the email, because we are going to put these things together and summarize them so that we can take them forward. Before I go to group 4, there is a chart I have shared there, which is a Google Excel document that has been made by Mai Tobal, our sister from Egypt, who will be sharing her career story this evening with us. So based on the discussion that was already made now, she has made this document in which she just buying into what Josephine has said. It's a document you can click and put your information, your area of interest. I think that could already get people to begin to identify common interests across those who are attending today. So let's do that as much as possible. You're willing to share your information. You never know what can come out of this. And really, from this platform, lots of fruitful things have really already come up between people who have just identified themselves in this platform. So please feel free to put your information there, and let's see what we can go really in making this discussion concrete. Okay, let's have group 4, please.
Group 4, I already mentioned their points earlier.
Okay, so those are your points to group 4. All right, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have something to say from group 4?
I'd like to say something. I mean, group 1, it cuts across everything. And
yeah, group 4.
No, if somebody wants to say something, not the group leader.
I was asking if I can add something for group 4.
Group 4. Group 4, please.
Yeah, there was a point about the need for bodies to regulate science in Africa, because it is sad that researchers sometimes are doing research on other people's agenda, because those people are those who found research. So there is a need for Africa to initiate regulation bodies to set up pragmatic agendas for research based on African needs.
Thank you very much, Epiphany. I think that is an important point.
And also, yeah, if I may add something, we did talk about encouraging Yeah, we did talk about encouraging the would-be researchers and scientists, future researchers, and providing incentives and, if it's possible, giving scholarship to those who would like to go into research field, and also changing the paradigm from what I may call history government studies to scientific studies. And that will help to create awareness and increase our space of going into research, scientific research.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then somebody said something about providing adequate infrastructure, which I've had several times, facilities for that, and then the funding also that is needed. When we have all that, I think we will compete favorably with the Western world. I did say it during our session that, you know, if you come here, United States and other developed or civilized countries of the world, you will see that the best brains we have are from Africa. If we could come out here to compete favorably with those who have seen civilization, I believe that with the right facilities and support, that we will do much better than these people. Yeah, Africa has all it takes. We have adequate human resources to go into science and research and perform effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So with funding and the encouragement, what it takes to be there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Ron, for that important contribution. It's very important for us to really get our priorities right. I think we have, like you said, all it takes, manpower, resources, we have that, but we have to get our priorities right. Okay, Venite Paul, do you have something still to add?
Yes, I wanted to add in the direction of getting our priorities. And this means priority is coming from the fact that most of our research is being funded by the outside. Because you cannot imagine like here in Cameroon, you identify the one problem in the sector of agriculture as people do not have food to eat. But people who are coming to fund from
Sorry, what happened? Benita, I think you're muted, eh? Benita, we don't hear you again. Can you?
Okay. I'm
Go
there.
ahead.
I'm there, sir. Okay. I'm saying like, because if we don't have funding from Africa, those who are coming to fund our research will be the outsider and they will focus on their interests. You cannot imagine here we have the main problem is famine, hunger. So we need food that will be fast produced. But people who are coming from outside, they will prefer to fund crops, the development of crops like cocoa, like coffee, which are not even transformed in Africa. We do those things, we send them to them like that, and they do the transformation. And things like we forget, we are completely out of crops like wheat, where they make the pasta, where we have flour and everything. All of this flour, pasta is being imported into Africa, which the wheat and everything, we can produce them in Africa. We can carry research on there and see how the productivity can be better. But we completely forget about that. So my own is we should try to look at how we can raise funds within Africa, how to strategize our government into raising funds.
Thank you very much, Paul. I think we have to move on now. Those points you have mentioned are very well noted, and we need to really carefully think about this issue. We'll give room to Group 5 for the sake of time to present, then we can move to the next session of the program.
Okay, Group 5 presentation will be done by me, Amanda, for key stakeholders and what we are doing. We looked at it from the various areas of discipline by group members. So we have those in gender studies who are using research to feed policy formulation and laws in the various countries on the continent. And how one was working in the area of health sanitation. So the research and findings contributing to clean water and clean environment for the continent. And also in the area of ICT, how the use of ICT, especially in terms of COVID, has contributed to online programs and capacity building for people on the continent. Opportunities to meaningfully contribute in our institutions. We realize that members have quite a number of opportunities through teaching, working in academia, to inform and share and raise consciousness on Africa's development issues that need to be addressed. Outreach activities that we also take to sensitize people and raise issues. Also, the ability to contribute on consultancies and all to various institutions helps address some of these issues. So if you're qualified as a member, you're able to partner. One member, for example, is currently partnering with Frontiers Initiative to build a capacity, create a one-stop shop for educating people on the continent, which is one way we are contributing in our various spaces. In our institutions, people are leading research activities. There are partnership and collaborations that are also available for our institutions to contribute to Africa's development. There are people taking on research related to gender and development issues in Africa. And also we are looking at how research grants for Africa. So there's one from Uganda who's working in institutions where they have a specific research grant for Africans to research on African continents without bringing in outsiders, so that they contribute to addressing Africa's issues. Challenges that are being faced is the fact that the African environment itself is stifling to the growth and contribution of scientists. So a number of the issues that are contributing to this have been mentioned. And the fact that the ideas we are pursuing are also borrowed. They are not indigenous to the African issues and how we need to address them. And then also we have that even those in sciences where there's grants, a bit of grants available, there are people that divert these grants when it's coming, which makes it impossible for them to have enough to carry out the researches that they will have to undertake to contribute to the country's continent's development. One challenge is also infrastructure that should be available to them. One mentioned that sending sequencing outside of Africa to labs to get it done makes it a bit difficult for them to carry out the kind of research they need to. So for the research that are available to us, people have collaborations, partnerships and networking mentorship programs, but they are not enough. They are not inadequate grants. They are not inadequate mentorship programs for them to be able to grow. And geographical location of our institutions also sometimes makes it possible for us to attract these partnerships. And to deal with it, we think that we should expand our networks and use collaborations that we build from workshops, which has also been mentioned, for example, Frontiers and how we partner and get it done. What's a stifling growth of development in Africa in general? We think attitude of us African scientists and people as well is a key contributing factor. What do we think about the work we do? How do we support other people to grow is something we are not doing. Over-reliance on the West for support through grants and all has also been identified as one of the challenges that we are having. And we think that to address these, we need to look inward as Africans and come up with our own novel ideas of solving our problems and understanding the fact that science helps contribute to our continent, and also to appreciate science at all levels. Most of the points that have been mentioned, we think that concentrating on hardcore science is what will help the Africa's development, but there are issues that we look at cut across all spheres. So if we look at scientific research findings that comes from all angles, we'll be able to address the issues and challenges we have as a continent. Thank you. These are the ideas we have.
Thank you very much, Amanda. I think these are fantastic ideas, and it's just amazing how across the groups, how you have used these 30 minutes to really dig into. And of course, many of the things that are holding us on the neck, we really know them and we just want to get them out. But this idea generated in this way, we can take them forward really. What about sharing with institutions? What about preparing this as a product from a forum like this, taking it to appropriate authorities? Here we have people from all sectors of the society, from the private sector, from the academia, from independent scientific bodies. I think we have opportunity really here. I will give Ike last point to speak before we move on to the next sessions. So you can unmute yourself, but just to repeat that, the group coordinators, please put those thoughts down and send them to me. If I can receive this before midweek Wednesday, that would be great, so that we can put this together and see what direction we are able to take this to. Okay, Ike.
Thank you, Bright, and thanks everyone for your contributions. I've just been kind of listening, but the last speaker really touched a very important thing there for me, which is the attitude of African researchers to actually research. And when you look at why we are lagging behind when it comes to funding research and actually doing research that is Afrocentric, or research that is solving African problems. If you look deep into Africa, you see that public funding into development, into anything, has been misused or is being misused. So basically, it's the same thing. Government isn't interested in what you do in your research. In fact, if a government in Africa wants to do research, they go to an institution abroad to do the research for them. So if you look at that, in a sense, you find out that government isn't the solution for Africa. So if you're looking at policy derivative to addressing African research problems, we would definitely sit here for years in Africa without having any headway. You find out that most of the solutions in Africa have been led by the private sector. And it's important for researchers to understand that your research is in itself has an economic value. It is your job as a researcher or an institution to monetize your research, to do research that will help you get into finding money for your research. So if you think, for an example, is there are a lot of companies in Africa that are doing a lot of research with universities abroad. In fact, about just a couple of months ago, a company in Nigeria approached us here in Edinburgh to help them with the research, and they pay for that. So when your research actually address issues that are local to them, when you show that your research actually has impact or can make it a difference, then you begin to, so often it's like we are blaming policy makers. We should blame them, of course, because we see all the mismanagement that is going on there. But on the other way, attitude of researchers to research, and actually a lot of those wastage is also coming from us as researchers who are not monetizing or who are not putting real value in their output, in the research output. I think these are really things we should think about. How do you commercialize your research? And most of us, this is what we do here to help the universities where we work to commercialize research. So I think you should be thinking beyond government funding to think about, how can I commercialize my research? How can that research in your hand become a product you can actually sell? That's important. For me, that's all about research. Research is your economic value. And how do you transform that?
Thank you very much.
People can think in this way, then you're making a headway in the future of Africa.
Thank you very much, Ike. I think the point you're making is very, very vital. And I think you have given us an extra topic to talk about in this commercializing our research, or the economic value of what we do. I mean, that is all. You can't reduce poverty in Africa without spending money to do that. So you want to generate money, but you spend money to do that. And our research has economic value, really. And I think there are many things you mentioned there that are very, very vital. Changing our concepts of really what we do. This is very important. So we'll see how we can take that forward. This point you have made, if we can generate another topic, and I hope inviting you can also help us to deliberate on that aspect, how to commercialize our research. All right, so this session is ended. Now we have encroached into the time for the next session, and as we promised, this is the time to go into really listening to Africans, upcoming African young men, young women who are really hitting the ground running with their career. How have they done it? What is their success stories? What are their challenges? Where have they failed? What can we learn from them? That is the essence of this session. My career, my story. This is very important for us because amongst us here, we have many young Africans who are coming up, who want to make a career, who want to do their best. But really, life is about learning. And they say learning comes from experience, and experience is the best teacher. Sometimes you don't need to have that experience to learn. You can get it from others who have gone through that experience. And that is all we want to do in this. So I will go to the background and hand over this to our moderator, Dr. Anne Kariuki. But before I do that, I will briefly introduce her, and she will briefly introduce the speakers for this evening. And so what will happen is that after her introduction, I will send you again to the breakout rooms where you spend another half an hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes to listen to their story, and 10 minutes to ask questions. And I will bring you back to the main session, and then we will do the final closing. And so please, when you go to the rooms, I will distribute you to mute your mic while they are speaking, because they will be recording their sessions as well, because we want to publish this as we have done others. So please, the speakers, remember to press the record button to record your session, and then we can have them later. And so the moderator for this time is, as I said, Dr. Anne Kariuki. She's a Kenyan, and she's a lecturer at Karatina University in Kenya. She has a PhD in business administration from the University of Nairobi, and has her MBA, Masters in Business Administration, and her BSc from Kenyatta University. I think seeing her here and taking part in this already shows you who she is, as one of those who has Africa in heart, to identify with such cause as we have here, to play a role. And she has seen that this is one of the roles she can play to support this program. So we're happy to have her in this evening. And she has lots of professional experiences that I couldn't fit all of them into this. But she has been keynote speaker at various conferences and forums where she has shared her professional experiences. She has been engaged in different community level programs, speaking there as well, and mobilizing community leaders and community members for particular causes. She's also a member of various professional organizations. So Dr. Anne, thank you very much for accepting this role, and I will hand over the floor to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bright. As introduced, my name is Anne Kariuki from Kenya. I'll do a very brief introduction on our keynote speakers this evening on my career, my story, the second session of this year. As introduced, we have three speakers, two from Egypt, one from Cameroon. The first one, we have not really ranked them, but we have Dr. Ngoma Sanad, we have Dr. Noel Jombo, I hope I'm pronouncing your names right, and we have Dr. Mai Tobal, Dr. Ngoma from Egypt, Dr. Noel from Cameroon, and Dr. Mai from Egypt. As said, they are young researchers in terms of age, not in terms of their research. They are accomplished researchers from their CVs, from their work. They have been, they are widely cited. They have won different kind of awards, both regionally and internationally. And just less than 5 minutes, I will introduce each of them before I'm sure each of them will speak more about themselves, about their work, about their accomplishments when they go to the breakout rooms. So I will start with Dr. Gomar Sanad. He's an associate professor at Al-Azhar University in Egypt. He identifies himself as a material scientist. I'm sure in the breakout room he will explain more of what he has done. He's a recipient of national and international award. He's an editor, he's acted as an editor, as a senior editor in various international journals. He also has various membership of international organizations. In his room, he'll talk about his awards, prizes, and honors. But more so, as a young African, he has over 100 journals in his name. He has 14 book chapters, and he has one hard book, which is very recommendable. And he also has 2 patents in his name. So, welcome, Dr. Gomal. You will speak more about your work, your mentorship, your collaboration, and your networking organization, and how you can incorporate the various people who are in this forum. Our next speaker is Dr. Jobel Noel from Cameroon. I noted that he identifies himself as a building material chemist. His area being inorganic chemistry, says that he identifies his interest as valorization of readily available natural resources. And one of his key, I wouldn't say key, but one of his contribution has in the development of eco-friendly cement-based materials. And he also has got several honors, fellowship, grants, and awards. He's widely written, of course. He's published. He's mentored several people in his area, and he's worked as a as a teaching assistant, and is currently working in the Ministry of Scientific Research and Innovation. You're welcome, Dr. Noel. Our next person, the only lady in the amongst the speakers, is Dr. Mai Tobal. She's a Fulbright scholar, and one of her goals is to improve the well-being of cancer patients, and amongst them is trying to overcome the chemotherapy adverse effects for which any person who has experienced a cancer patient, they know the effect of chemotherapy to this patient. She's an associate professor of pharmacology and toxicology in the Faculty of Pharmacy in Shams University. She also has several awards, several fellowships, several grants and awards. She's an elected member of Global Young Academy, American Association of Cancer Research, amongst others, which I'm sure she's going to speak more about. She's co-authored over 25 publications in her field, and in 2017, she appeared in TEDx in Cairo Women. You're welcome, Dr. Mai Tobal. I think I saw in her profile, she says she is, which is part of the cancer awareness in Africa, which has really deprived people of finances of their loved ones and so on. Thank you for the 4 speakers, for the 3 speakers, sorry. You're most welcome for the next session that we're going to get into.
Okay, so thanks, Anne, for that. I will open the rooms. Each of the speakers has been assigned to one room. Please, as I said, 20 minutes for presentation and 10 minutes for question and answers. Once it's that time, we'll call you back to the session. So just keep to the time. And please, the speakers, remember to press your record button so that we can record this. Okay, so see you in 30 minutes.
Thank you, everyone. We are back to the main session. I hope we've learned so much from our presenters as I went round. From Dr. Tolba, I heard her talking about her limitations and identifying her strength. There was about citation maps from Dr. Gomal. From Dr. Jobel, he presented an issue on career goals, from a world to fellowship to having your own career goals. He talked about having two main career goals: to improve academic track record, and not only academic track record, but about publishing in good journals, not having just journals for the sake of it, avoiding predatory journals. He also talked about training and supervising students. There was also a discussion around African collaborations, and not only about collaborations, there was a discussion about how you can come up with a book and book chapters, and how you can invite how you evaluate who is going to contribute towards your book chapters. I think from all the presenters, there was at least I had something to do with the African Academy of Science that has really assisted them in developing them in terms of their career, the fact they have been able to go. There was also the issue of scientific exhibitions. For you to showcase the work whenever there are conferences, you need to attend. You need to be at the forefront to showcase your work. The issue of mentorship also came up. What came out is that most of our speakers, they have talked about going through mentorship programs, and they look forward also taking other researchers through mentorship program. So there was advice on publishing in good journals. Dr. Noel talked about attending any training on research and management and science. Whenever you come across it, as long as you have the time, I think most of them are online for now. He says that it's good to attend them. You never know what will come out of such kind of that kind of seminar. To summarize what Dr. Mai Tobal says, she said that all magic happens outside your comfort zone. And I believe from now, we are enriched, we are going to learn, we are going to take the opportunities, the advice that has been provided to us. We're going to come up with collaborations. We are going to network amongst ourselves. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I hand over to Dr. Bright. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and well appreciated. And to all the speakers, Dr. Goma, Dr. Mai Tobal, and Dr. Noel, we appreciate this. Please, these are very beautiful stories, and you can see that they are beautiful because somebody has to overcome a challenge and take opportunities at the right time. And I know that as we are all different here, we have our different stories. It doesn't matter. You don't wait until it is big, and everybody. I mean, it's in the science of the times. No, please just send us email if you want to share your story, or if you you know somebody you want to recommend to share their story, you think such stories can help us to move from where we are, we're happy to receive those. So please just send me email or Emma an email. We'll be happy to have them on board. We have 2 of those still left this year, at the end of September, and the session in December. So just get in touch. I think we have really been very good with time today, which is great. Eman has put the evaluation form on the chat box. Please help us to evaluate this session. This session has really been about you, and I think we have got one thing or the other from this session. So please help us evaluate it so that we can improve in the next session that is coming. Okay. Now we have ended the first 2 quarters of this year, and now we are entering the second 2 quarters of this year. And in the 3rd quarter, we'll be looking at soft skills and the little matters of success. Soft skills and the little matters of success. And on the screen, you can see the topics we are going to be addressing. On the 11th of July, Eman will be looking at soft skills. How can those add value to what you're doing as a scientist? What are even soft skills in the first place? And we have had I've had Dr. Indigo speaking about mental health here. She did the last session before this. She will come back again here, and will come back again. So those who enjoyed her talk, you have not really enjoyed the part that she's really powerful. The unwritten rules. She has 3 books on that. The unwritten rules of success. The first session she'll be talking about the context. Know your context. So don't fail to attend that. And the 22nd of August, she'll be speaking with her partner in her business, and they'll be looking at unwritten rules, time management. This is a disease we all have. Procrastination. When do you decide? What time do you decide? What time do you do certain things? How do you manage your time? Dr. Indigo will come back again on that. And then the last session for the next quarter will be the role of media. And here, the head of communications and the communication manager of the African Academy of Sciences will be with us in that session, and they will be dealing with this issue of media. I think that will be a powerful session because the African Academy of Science is the highest science organization in Africa, and it's a privilege to have them to speak here. And after that, we'll be looking at the issues of money. We just finished the course on grant writing, so we'll be touching that again on 3rd of October, when the executive director again of the African Academy of Sciences will be speaking to us on that topic. Then Mr. Daniel talked about mentoring some sessions back. He'll be coming back again to look at the challenge of leadership, as well as Dr. Ike Neliako from Nigeria, who is coming from the Nigeria Prize for Leadership. We have a session on African women in science, and it will be great to have some exemplary African women who have made their career in science and have beat many hurdles. They will share their story on the 14th of November. And finally, we have 2 sessions in December: the role of government in scientific research, one of the things we have discussed today, and then we'll have the role of NGOs, non-profitable organizations, in promoting research in Africa. So we have a full half-year package for you, and I think we'll all benefit from this session. But one thing is this: we have a story why we are here today, and the African Science Frontiers Initiative is 1 year in July this year. That's something that we are really happy to celebrate with you in the right way. How did it all begin? What have we achieved? Where is it all going? Where are we going from here? What lies ahead of us? Have you been part of this story? Yes, several of you have been part of this story and have been with us since we started. And it's good to hear your experiences of where we are. So we have several programs in the pipeline. We want to really bring this forward and make it as also a forum to discuss what Little Beginnings can do, where we can take it from. Can we replicate our experiences here with others? So watch out for it. We'll come back to you on this and see how you can be part of this story, part of this program. All right, so we have on the screen, I have put the link to registration of this course that we have announced. Several of you have been registering. If you have not registered, please take advantage and just do it now. I have the link on the chat box there, and Eman has put it there before. All right, thank you. I think this is where we end this evening. And I know Eman would like to take the picture. So please unmute your mic if you want to say something. It's your time while Eman is taking the picture. And you can show your video as well.
Please open your camera and cheese.
Emma, while you're taking the pictures, I've just put some link on the chat. So it's about the African Universities conference that's happening online soon.
Thank you, Ike.
Okay, it seems like I have a question or something to say. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you want to speak? We have closed. We're just taking pictures. Is it related to the topic of today?
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
we
okay.
just closed. Mm-hmm. Perhaps you can send me email.
Yes, I think I will do that.
Eman, have you taken our smiles are becoming weak now?
Should we stop smiling now?
No, keep smiling.
Okay. So that we become true Africans, eh?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Eman is through. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for this evening.
Good night. That was good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.